Welcome to episode 150 of Both Down, the number one Blood Bowl podcast.
In el camino a Alicante.
I am Scott Prime.
I don't know why you're
and
yelling.
With me for so many episodes.
I would say at least
Steve
150.
Kilwoggy Campbell.
Yeah. How's
it's
it going?
More than 150 though, my friend.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah.
We have made it as long as Marvel Team Up did. It made it to issue 150 before being replaced with Web of Spider-Man #1 the following month.
I did not know that bit.
I did. I learned that this weekend.
Huh. Okay. Well, that's cool. Not relevant to much, but I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. Did you know the Thing series, Marvel 2-in-1, that lasted 100 issues?
Yeah.
It was immediately replaced with The Thing #1.
Yeah, I knew that. And that
You
lasted
okay.
32 issues, I think.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
I like that series. Well, if you can't tell, we've decided to drop Blood Bowl and become a podcast about comic books. Since
only old comics from the 70s and 80s to show how aged we really are.
That is all I am currently collecting. I did read some modern comics at your house. So that was awesome.
That is cool. What'd you read?
You gave them to me. It was the Human Target. This is the new series.
I know. I
don't know how old they are. It was like,
they're only about a year old. They wrapped up. It was last year type deal.
I should probably pick those up. I really enjoyed them.
So everybody, we're here to talk about Blood Bowl. If it's your first time joining us, and we're at 150, which is amazing to think about.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's also weird, right? Because that's like one of those numbers, because we're comic book guys, that like this would be like a double-sized issue or an oversized issue or, something crazy like that. And it still might be oversized by the time we're done recording.
I don't know about oversized. Oversized for us would be about 5 hours. I mean,
okay, that's fair.
We can easily do 2 to 3 hours just BSing. Now, we don't always do that, but we can. Depends on the day.
Well, recently, I got to see Steve. He flew into Oklahoma City, not for Oklahoma Bowl, to visit.
Yeah.
And hang out with friends.
And I'm sure if you're a long-time listener, you know our friend Brian passed away almost 4 years ago now. So we make a habit of getting together at least once a year with all the friends and playing board games. So we normally do it over 4th of July. Got pushed back a little bit because of job situations. But yeah, flew in, got to hang out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Played a modicum amount of games. Not a lot, but they were long. And had a great time.
Yeah, we didn't. So I think last year we played close to 18, 19 games. And I believe the year before that even, or was the year before in Stillwater?
The year before was in Stillwater. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year was Allen's and yours, and then before that was Stillwater.
Yeah. Right. We played, I think, like 20-something games in Stillwater.
Yeah.
A lot of smaller games, though, too. Quick games. And then last year, I think we played I want to say 18, 17 games over the weekend.
We didn't play any small games, except the very last one.
No, we did not. We combined played 13 games total, if you played in every game, from Friday morning through Sunday evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to play in 12 of them. I think you played in about 8 of them because you were always the odd man out. So something like that.
But I'd play the monsters, or I'd help with cards and stuff like that.
And we played a lot of games that we tried to fit 5 to 6 people in, which meant things like Fortune and Glory, which is already a lot of... I love Fortune and Glory, but like I said, somebody asked me this weekend, what's one of your favorite board games? And I said, Fortune and Glory. And they go, oh, I'll write that down. And I said, no. I cannot recommend it. I love it, but I cannot recommend it because it's just a lot of steps. And with 6 people, it is a very tedious, super long game. So,
really, we need to just bite the bullet and start doing a podcast about board games. Even though we're not together and playing them all the time, you're playing them, and I can always be the gruff complainer. I'm good at that.
Are you are you like that?
Well, I'm not typically the big gamer of the group. I just enjoy hanging out and playing games. So
Games are awesome, dude. You're the guy who doesn't think they playtest anything.
I think
You're
they
you're like,
anything that has four or more players where everyone plays differently and there's different win conditions. No, they're not balancing that out. They're just throwing it out there and going, there's enough ways for people to win. They'll figure it out.
okay, we disagree
You can't
highly on that.
you can't tell me Flux is play tested. That's a game that can last
Flux,
2 seconds or
Fl-
2 millennia.
Flux is not a game.
Okay,
Flux is not a game.
I'm fine with
Let's
that.
just agree with that. All right.
Oh, anyways, my opening in Spanish. Trying to learn. I'm trying to get some Spanish in before I head out to Alicante next month, which is like
Okay.
3 weeks
So
away.
you can proposition the hookers.
Yeah, I mean, Michael
Okay.
speaks English, but I mean, I'm going to be around him anyways, so might as well see if I can get it a little Spanish in.
Okay. All right. I mean that's fair.
Shout out to
I
Michael
forgot
Lewis.
I forgot you're a big time person going to the World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
and some of us sit at home and get phone calls from our ex-wives, griping about the kids on
Well,
stuff they should handle.
if someone would get their car totaled and use that money for plane tickets, you'd be fine.
No, no thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Hale. That was a nice surprise.
You got your car total?
Yeah. It hailed really bad one day, and I went to go get an estimate, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna total it." Like, okay, cool. So I got to keep the car though, so
Okay,
no big deal.
that's good.
Just got some
I guess I
extra
don't.
money. I
I
may
guess
not
I
have
don't
mentioned
remember
it.
this.
May not have mentioned it to you.
That's okay. You've had a lot of stuff going on through life,
Yeah.
and I think it's time we talk some Blood Bowl stuff. We got some goodies to talk about today, right?
Do we? What goodies?
I mean,
Just in
all
general.
sorts of goodies.
So what Scott's alluding to is, since this is episode 150, we're going to reintroduce ourselves again. So the first segment, if you don't want to listen to us ramble on about ourselves and changes in our lives and stuff, you can skip on by. But we have noticed a big increase in new listeners, and we've been getting a lot of emails about people, questions, and it seems a lot of it is, how do you run a tournament or how do you run a league? So we're not going to do solely that. Um, I believe Scott played some games of Gutter Bowl. We keep wanting to call it Gutter Ball. So,
Yes,
first segment, we're
I.
going to reintroduce ourselves. Second segment, we'll talk about his experiences with that. And then third segment, we're going to talk about the league there, a little bit about my league, even though there's not much to talk about here, and then kind of just generalities of how to run a league.
Sure.
That sound pretty much what we're
Yeah.
going to do?
No, that's pretty much what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So let's get started with it, okay?
Okay. We'll be right back. And we're back. So, introducing ourselves again. Again. I think this is our
Yeah, I
third
feel
time.
like we've done this a few times now, but at the same time, I realize like when I find a new podcast, I usually will not go download 150 episodes. I might just
Right.
listen to it from that point on. So there's stories and stuff I don't get or understand until I listen to it for a while.
Yeah,
So
and we obviously cannot encompass the full 150 episodes that we've done, but we can kind of give a breakdown. We're not going to go into deep discussion, but just more of a general idea of ourselves.
general ideal of ourselves. Yeah. So I've been playing Blood Bowl since my lord, since ninth grade, which was a long, long time ago.
88?
1988, I believe. Um, our buddy Gary Brown, who, if you came to the last Critter Bowl or maybe even Oklahoma Bowl, or you see us traveling around, he's kind of been my sidekick lately since Steve has moved away.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary had some cash. We were at this store called the Hobby Shop. Steve remembers it well. Crossroads Mall. If you
Yep.
wanted to buy model airplanes that actually flew, or cars, or role playing games, or miniature games,
Comics.
they had
anything.
What's
Yeah,
that?
they had comics, they had war models, they had the guy from This Island Earth, a Metaluna,
Yeah, yeah. They
a
had
phone
everything.
booth for that had a cardboard cutout of Superman in it.
So we were there and we ran across this game. Now at this time we have already played some role playing games and stuff like that. We were into sports because that's what we played in junior high and stuff like that. We ran across this game and there was a guy. It might have been. Do you remember Jim who used to own the other side?
The Other Side comics.
Yes, that guy.
I don't remember
Remember
him.
that? Okay.
Yeah,
I believe he was working at the time. I could be wrong on this, but anyways, we discovered Blood Bowl, and it was this expensive game. I think it was $40 or $50 at the time, which was a lot of
insane.
money.
Yep.
And it was everything little boys wanted. It was violence, it was sports, it was role playing, and we bought the box, or Gary bought the box. I heard his mother complaining about it, saying like, "I can't. Don't spend all your money here. Don't listen to your friends." And here we are, nearly 50 years old, and we still love Blood Bowl to this
Mm-hmm.
day. So I think it was quite a wonderful investment. The original box had a styrofoam field. It had 16 miniatures of orcs.
Now
It
this is
had
the
16
original.
miniatures of humans.
This is the original box you bought. It's not the original box.
I'm sorry. This is
Just making
it's
sure.
really second. Yeah, it's second edition Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
It wasn't the original box. The original second edition box though had 16 models of orcs, all one pose. 16 models of humans, all one pose. And little numbers that you could stick onto these little bases and stuff. And that's what we did. And we never painted them. And we just used our imaginations. Like somebody would take the humans and go, "Oh, well, number 13 is my ogre." And you're just supposed to know that and stuff like that. And we rarely had any problems because we were young kids with great imaginations.
And this was you, Gary, and your buddy Robert, where you
Right. And
all split up every single team and ran a league.
yeah, so we looked in the back of the book and there was 40 teams and it was like, this is amazing. 40 teams. I guess if we want to run a league, the NFL plays 16 games and that's what these stats are showing in these standings. And there's 3 of us, so that's 13 teams each with one team rotating between all the people. And we took 2 teams. One was our primary team, one was our secondary team, and every other team was just a team that we were in control of. And as new supplements came out, we would convert the rules. So, week 1 and week 2, we played with the rules where, like you block, and on a 5 or 6, you knock somebody down, and on a 3 or 4, you fall down, and you're both down, and stuff like that. And then we found the Star Player book. So we haphazardly didn't read it well, and we gave everybody skills. So the star players that came in the book were not as good as some of these people that we just rolled randomly and go, "Oh, this rookie gets 6 skills, and he got a strength +1 and another strength +1." And then we, about 6 games after that, found the companion book with additional rules. So we adapted as we went. We played out the league. My friends were very pissed because I had the crappy Oakland Raiders, which was a terrible team that barely. We also expanded the playoffs because my buddies believed that like the NFL with wild card teams and stuff, that we should have like 8 teams on each side
Yeah.
instead of 4. Therefore, the Oakland Raiders barely made it into the playoffs at 7 or 9-7. And they just went on a streak with me under controlling them. They made it to the Blood Bowl finals against my ogre team, the Oldham Ogres, which Gary and Robert demanded or accepted, or I don't know what they thought for sure that the Oldham Ogres were ogres and Skaven. And I wasn't going to complain about that because that's much better than ogres and snotlings or ogres
I
and
would
goblins.
play the crap out of that team right now.
I believe you say that every time we do this reintroduction.
And I would still love to do it.
So when you see the stats and they show the crumble of the NAF in the stat book, in my world of role playing, that is the Oakland Raiders versus the Oldham Ogres in a we played to three, first one to three, 3-2. Auckland Raiders won.
Yeah,
My
there's no
friends
time limit back
refused.
then. So
What's that?
there's no time limit back in those rules. It was just whoever scored
No,
the most, or first to
yes,
three.
first to three.
Yeah.
And I remember after I beat Gary to get my second team into the finals, they were done. And I think they started like messing with like either creating characters for Vampire or Traveler or some other role playing game that we played at the time. And I was like, well, one of y'all play with me so I can play this game out? And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Both your teams are there. You just do whatever. And I was like, okay. So I just sat on the floor in my room and I just played the game out. And I unfortunately didn't cheat enough for the old time ogres to win the Blood Bowl championship, which would have been way better and much cooler, but it just didn't happen. So
So I don't think we ever talked about how long this league took.
we hindered us discovering girls for at least a year to year. I mean, every moment we had free, we played a Blood Bowl game.
Okay.
We kept stats. If a guy had the ball and he moved 3 squares, that was 4 yards per square. So
Yeah.
that's 4 paces. So 12 paces. And we kept stats on these people the best we could.
So this
I was
whole
so
league
proud.
took a year and a half, 2 years maybe?
It was definitely through 9th grade and through a lot of 10th grade.
Okay.
So it was quite a bit.
And then
after that, we did several attempts to do smaller leagues that, got through like maybe week 5 and then got restarted, and several attempts of other leagues that just didn't happen. And we met other people and taught them how to play the game and started another league and made it about 6 games in. And then that game got, that league got reset. And then 3rd edition came out and nobody liked it because what the hell are these block dice? Why do we want to play this? We have charts for everything. Why do we want these block dice?
There's
This
a
is the
huge
dumbest thing
difference
ever.
between 2nd and 3rd edition if you're not aware.
Correct. So we didn't play for a while, and then we started trying out 3rd edition, and we didn't hate it too bad. And once again, started another league, and it kind of fell through. And we really didn't get any complete leagues until here we are years later when I met you playing HeroClix, and we felt like the game was phasing out kind of. And
Yeah, so what
kind of the
happened
rest
there
is
is, my thing, I'd never heard of Blood Bowl. I'm getting into HeroClix back in the day, and I'm running events at a local comic book store there in Norman. And I ended up running events like every Saturday for 5 years. But
it was a lot.
it was a lot. But eventually ran into Scott. He started coming, and Gary started coming, and then we started chatting and got to know each other. And he decided to run some events at Wizards, the store that he works at now, and where we run all of our events. And then we just started running a crap ton of HeroClick events. Like we had them Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, sometimes on Thursdays, sometimes on Mondays. We had a giant community. We were doing amazing stuff, and then the bottom fell out due to shady store tactics and some other stuff that we won't get into. But by that time, we had grown a really good community of friends that we wanted to keep playing. And Scott mentioned something about this game he used to play called Blood Bowl. I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And he showed me the rules. And I looked at the rules, looked at the art by Pete Nifton. I love the fluff of the background and the universe. I'm like, yeah, let's try this. So we started playing, and we started our first league.
Yeah, we showed the game, I believe, to Alan played HeroClix with us,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hill, our
Sarge.
buddy Sarge, all those guys. We got into this enough for that first league, and it's only 6 of us because I think we
I think
both
so.
took. I
Yeah,
think we took 2 teams each for our
yeah, for
very
sure.
first league, and then we just made I think it was an 8-game schedule or something like that, a 10-game schedule, something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't many weeks, shorter leagues, but we started that, and you'll hear me if you ever listen to old episodes. I try not to, but I can't help it. I call it the home league because it's not at a store; it's at home.
That has
And I had to
never
say that
been the issue. It's not.
it's explaining to you
Yes.
that we play it at home versus the store that everybody has an issue
It's
with. But I
called a
can't
home
stop.
league. You don't have to say we played at home. That was the whole thing.
No, that's the fun about it. It's played at home, Steve, because we're a
Anyways.
bunch of friends. Um, anyways, over time, a few people came and go.
Yeah.
We became friends with Scott Hess. He joined the league for a while. Leland Gross, he started playing our league. That league, that we had 10 seasons with that home league, which was pretty cool. We had a built-in history. I came from the background of I liked random skills from second edition.
Yeah.
And so we applied that to what at the time with the living rule book and stuff was like fifth edition.
Yeah. And like
So
if you're new, you're used to the opportunity to do random skills. We didn't have the opportunity to do random skills in the home league. We did random skills. And initially it was kind of you just rolled and got whatever you got, which would suck sometimes. And then we modified it season after season after season to where eventually it was a pick six. So you would pick whatever category you could choose from, pick 6 skills, and then roll it. And then in between seasons, you could, respec and do stuff like that if you had enough gold or whatever. So we put a lot
right.
of time and effort into it. It was a ton of fun. Sarge did a newsletter. It was awesome. Um, and back when we were doing Hero Clicks, we'd also traveled playing Hero Clicks. So, we'd gone to Kansas, we'd gone to Arkansas, we've traveled around a little bit. Well, and funny enough, Scott had gone to Wizard World Chicago, right? And
That is
seen,
correct.
and he actually saw Chance before we met Chance from Three Die Block.
That's right. I got to see uh what was his name online? I can't remember now, but like he hung out with
Numbskull?
I remember one of the guys he hung out with was Meatloaf X, and then there was oh man, big black guy. What was his name? You remember him? He
No.
was online. Oh gosh, you'd recognize him if you'd recognize the name, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chance was yes, I saw Chance and the guys from Iowa because they had I think the Hawkeye Gaming Club,
Mm-hmm.
and they played Hero Clicks all the time and play tested all the time. And so yes, I met Chance way before I met Chance.
And it's funny, talking to Tim Lyons of also Three Die Block, and he mentioned the fact that if we had never started Blood Bowl and done a HeroClix podcast, there'd be a good chance that Chance and Polly would also have done a HeroClix podcast because they were into HeroClix at the time too. So it's just kind of a weird coincidence. That being said, I discovered Slurpcast because I was working at a job listening to a ton of podcasts, and Slurpcast came around, and I'm like, oh, cool, a podcast about Blood Bowl. And back in the day when they were doing it, they really talked up the tournaments in the area, talked to people who played in the tournaments and all this type of stuff, and got Scott to listen. I think I got you into listening to it. And then we ended up thinking, you know what, we should go to the Chaos Cup.
There's also was it Tackle Zone
Yeah, there was Tackle
Radio?
Zone Radio in Australia,
Yeah,
Three Die Block,
Eh,
as we mentioned.
yeah. So in those early stages of podcasts, you got me to listen to some of these things, and I mean Zlurpcast covered tournaments, or at least from our point of view, sitting listening at work. You would have thought there was tournaments everywhere every weekend,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 10 plus years ago. And because they would just talk it up and talk it up, and they they knew everybody's username, and they talked to them like they're just buddies. And we fell in love with that idea, if if we're bluntly honest.
Yeah,
And they talked about Chicago in Chaos Cup, and then I was like, holy crap, that's the tournament that gives away a metal miniature based off the second edition Chaos All Stars. Oh my gosh, we got to go to this. We can get a metal mini, which I
and
know sounds crazy now.
exactly. the thing that people don't understand about that time is at the time, those minis from Chaos Cup would pretty much, if we wanted to, if we sold them on eBay or any of the forums, would pay for our trip to Chicago. They were going for 70, 80, $100 because it was just exclusive and people were going crazy for them.
They were so expensive. I know when we went that first year, I was happy to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was the second year that's when I don't think it matters anymore, but that's when Tom pulled me inside and goes, "Hey, dude, if you want some of these older ones, I got them." you know,
Yeah.
and I think he sold them from his collection or whatever, but I still paid quite a bit for them, but not as much as what I would have paid, on the secondary market at the time because 3D printing wasn't a thing. So if you're young and you think 3D printing's been around forever,
Yeah.
it was hard to get a metal miniature made.
Oh
It
yeah.
was a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
I was so happy to go to Chaos Cup that first year and just get that metal mini. I was like, I think I even told you on the way up there. I was like, no matter what, as long as I get my mini, I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
happy for this trip.
And
So,
we, we're both Cubs
anyway,
fans, so it's Chicago. We, I had been to Chicago before, but just for like half a day, so it didn't really count. So we, not only was it a chance to go to this big exclusive Blood Bowl event that was awesome, but we got to go to Wrigley Field, we got to get Chicago pizza, all kinds of fun stuff. Um, and the whole trip up and trip back, we were like, we should do a podcast. You know, it because you were already doing podcasts with other friends.
that's true.
Yeah.
And they weren't gamers or nothing like that, so they had no interest in this type of.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, we were talking about this. We already had some of the equipment through those other people.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and listen to like issue 0 or episode 0, that was not on our equipment or anything. We had to go to a friend's house to record that ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I believe like the first couple episodes were like that too. Is like we went somewhere else to record it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you spliced it up, and then we put it online and stuff before we bought our own equipment. But yeah, that's kind of the origin story of Steve and Scott. Through HeroClix, and then like they changed some of the rules in HeroClix. We weren't having as much fun. I was like, would you guys like to try this game? Because you like fantasy football, and this is real fantasy football. And we just had enough friends and activity in it. And everybody at first bought into the role playing side of things.
Yeah.
Sarge with the newsletter, like you mentioned. We, once the week was over in Fantasyland, Sarge, then we were all just waiting on pins and needles for Sarge to release the latest issue of Dragonfire Weekly
Yeah.
because he had 3 different sections. He had like an editorial, he had a guy who was predicting winners,
Power
and then there was
rankings
the power
and then the
rankings and
deaths.
stuff. And we loved it. We loved it.
It was awesome.
So,
and of course, when we decided to do the podcast, I was very clear like, what are we going to do? Because 3 Die Block was already doing strategy, and we hadn't played enough to really speak to strategy, and we're not power gamers. We're not looking to min max on rosters and stuff. That's not our thing. And there's plenty of other podcasts that do other things. Like we need to have a niche. What can we do? Well, the love of our game was the fluff, so we started out doing primarily fluff, which we really should do more of, but we've gotten sidetracked by rest of life because we're going to a ton of tournaments. And also, way back, we decided to run our first tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we bit the bug really hard by visiting, seeing the tournaments being ran. Chaos Cup being our first event was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there was only like 50 people or something at the time, but to us, that was just
it was amazing.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the old bunker. We wanted to run a tournament from there on. We wanted to be honest, we wanted to bring what we thought the North had, which is all these tournaments, which felt like at least 1 or 2 a month in a drivable distance.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring that to Oklahoma. And in addition, I am a big giant fan of the old art from the second edition Blood Bowl stuff, which is primarily Pete Nifton.
Yeah.
There's other artists too, but it's a primary Pete Nifton thing, and always have loved that stuff. I mean, like, Jack Kirby might be the creator of the Marvel universe, but Pete Nifton is the creator of the Blood Bowl universe, and I don't care if it comes through second edition or not. But if you go back to that art, there's so much life and personality that's why we got the game that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, for a guy who didn't really care for sports, he did a wonderful job of, as he says, taking Looney Tunes and sports and mixing them together.
Yeah.
And it showed in his art. But yeah, we might not talk about the fluff all the time, but I guarantee if you listen to this podcast, we do care about the fluff.
Oh, for sure.
We care about team names,
player names,
backstories on teams, and all that.
Yeah.
So we are very passionate still, or at least I am, probably more than even Steve.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of our origin story. And if you're new to this podcast and you decide to go back, you're gonna, which is kind of amazing. My daughter is 16. We've done this podcast now for what, 10, 12, 13 years now.
A long time.
So like a long time. I believe the first episode came out in 2011.
Sounds right.
At the tail end of that, which is incredible because it's kind of a documentation of not only our gaming life, but if you listen to those episodes about 20 in, you're going to hear us go through the big tornado that hit our area.
Yep.
And how we lived through that. You're going to hear stories of how living through my divorce, which was an awful time in my life. And then, how me and Steve then became roommates. And then eventually through things of dating and everything else, Steve gets his own house. And then we lived through all the stuff Steve went through last year.
Yeah.
And where we're at. So this is a time capsule journey of kind of me and Steve's life through Blood Bowl, the board game, So I always think like when I'm dead and gone, maybe somebody will listen to these and feel like by the time they're done listening to some of these, that like they're part of our family. And I do think we have some people that do feel that way.
Oh, for sure.
Today,
I mean, and I don't ascribe us to this, but just a matter of they would have latched on to something, but we're that something. We've had people tell us that we've kept them alive because they were feeling depressed and gave them something to look forward to, or they're going through hard times and they reached out and we talked to them. This podcast has legitimately affected people's lives. Not to mention the fact, when we first started running tournaments, there was nothing around here, and now it's
there was nothing in Kansas. There was nothing in Arkansas. There was nothing in Colorado. There wasn't nothing in New Mexico. There wasn't nothing. There was an occasional tournament in Texas, and I mean by occasional, there was one before us and one after us, and there. For a while, there wasn't one for a long time. And now Texas is blooming with tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like once or twice a month now, which is even too much to keep up with from our perspective up here in Oklahoma or you in Colorado now. But whether people like us or hate us, you can't. We helped jumpstart that. And I don't want credit for that. Well, I'm just happy we have a community now. So if I do have the time, I can go to Texas and play in a Texas tournament, and go see some friends and spend the weekend down in Texas, or go to Lubbock, or, gosh, I miss going up to Wichita and playing up in the Emerald City, but we're very blessed now that we have too many tournaments to go to.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But that's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
And if you're sitting at home and, we'll probably talk about this next episode, but since people are I don't know, maybe we could fit it in here, but people talk about like there's just nobody to play. Well, we ran tournaments and ran tournaments and ran tournaments until we built a community up of people who want to play the game and love the game with us. So I don't know what else to ramble on about, Steve.
I don't either. I mean, we can talk about our whole history of the podcast and tournaments and all that fun stuff, but there's no need. That's us. Scott's in Oklahoma. I'm in Colorado. Is that going to
Now,
change? Not
for many
for a
years,
while.
you were here in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, primarily. I mean, up until December of last year.
If you are listening for the first time, or maybe you just latched onto us in the last 6 months, just to kind of show you, we have together, and most of the time we ran tournaments together. Together, we have over 40 tournaments ran. So we do have experience running tournaments. Some would say we do great tournaments. Others might say we do so tournaments, and that's just a matter of opinion.
Well, we
Um,
honestly do both because that's just how life is.
Collectively, I know on the NAF level, we've won every bit of over 10 tournaments together. So we do have some knowledge, or we luck sack it through occasionally
Yeah,
and win a tournament. So that feels good too. So we're not total doofuses when it comes to Blood Bowl, but we might not be super min maxers like other people. But
definitely not. A
I
lot of
don't
the
think
problem
our
is
I,
we don't focus on one team. It's like, I'm not going to play just one team for my whole life.
get on
I
that real
might.
quick in case people don't know. Back when we started, there was a couple of tournaments a year around here, and me and Steve set out to we were going to try to just play a different team every tournament. And I think Steve hit. I think you played two Dark Elf teams in a row
I did
on one tournament,
because I thought
which kind of broke that.
because I thought you could blitz and multi block and stab, and it was fun. And then I was told you couldn't. I'm like, oh, that kills all my fun.
So my goal when I first started playing was I want to go to 24 tournaments and I want to play a different team every time I go to a tournament.
And at the
And
time, there was only 24 races.
yes. And I was like, I could be the first guy in the world to do this because I don't know about this. And then I believe it was Brian Mitchell said, hey, I know you're about 6 away or whatever, but there's some other people in the world who've done that. And I did some research, and it was 3 Australian players who beat me to the 24 teams and 24 tournaments. Um, but I was the first guy in the Northern Hemisphere who played 24 teams in 24 tournaments. And then I took it even a level higher that nobody gives a shit about except for me. I played 31 different race teams in 31 different tournaments
Because we went back to the
because what I
fluff.
because what I did is I went through the fluff, and like in the fluff there's a snotling team called the Phoenix Snotlings, which is nothing but snotlings. And so
And again,
at a
this is
tournament,
before Snotlings existed as a team.
correct. So what you had to do is play ogres without ogres to have a Snotling team. There was an old team called the Hobgoblin team back in second edition. It was nothing but hobgoblins. And so I took a Chaos Dwarf team with no Chaos Dwarves, no bulls, just hobgoblins. So I tried this stuff out um, to kind of justify 31 different races and keep it going. So there was a team called. Do you remember what they were called in the fluff? They were mages who like teleported around.
No.
Uh, they're in the fluff.
Yeah.
I pulled them out of the fluff. I used Slan to represent them because jumping from place to place
You
was
stole
kind
my
of like
idea, is what you
teleporting.
did.
What's that?
So you stole my idea because I had that idea a long time using
I
wizards.
understand that, but I did qualify that as playing a different race.
Yeah,
So
no, I get it. No, I never got around to getting enough wizard miniatures. And problem is we don't paint. Like, we love to play the game, but neither one of us is big on painting or putting together the models. So, like, I can have the idea for an all wizard Slan team forever. Doesn't mean it's going to happen because I'm not going to buy the models. I'm not going to paint them. Yeah.
right, I'd rather go work some overtime and pay somebody to paint my team.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you like to paint, give me a holler because I got teams to paint.
Yep.
So, um, is that kind of like all our accolades that we can
Accolades.
think of?
Yeah, I mean,
Did I say
um,
that right?
it's accolades, but that's fine. We did
Accolades.
have Pete Nifton come out for Oklahoma Bowl a year, like
Yeah.
4 years ago. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is meeting Pete through Facebook, the wonderful World Wide Web. And then next thing you know, like within the year, he's in my house, hanging out with us and staying with us, and
We should
that
get
was
him
just
back on.
incredible. If he's down to get back on, I'd love to have him on. I love Pete.
Yeah.
So, and it's really weird. I know he's the artist guy, but I don't see him that way anymore. He's friend Pete, not artist Pete, which is
Exactly.
probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But
He definitely does not like American baseball, so we know that.
yeah, we took him to a baseball game. He did not give a shit about that. So,
Well, yeah, so that's
all right.
pretty much us. We just wanted to retouch base. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Um, we're pretty much an open book here. We don't try to hide much. If you listen to our first couple episodes, we're much more wooden because we're trying to do the whole podcast thing of, you know, being a podcast person. And after a couple episodes, we're like, fuck that. That's not us. It's like we don't cuss a ton, but if we want to, we're going to. And it's just more natural.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the whole podcast we've always wanted really was is that you turn this on and it's like hanging out with us for a couple of hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can send us home. It's like, it's nice visiting those guys. I'm glad they're leaving now.
Well, time to go.
So exactly. So,
Hey.
anyways, this is us.
And
And we could ramble on around about us forever, but I don't know if we really should. So
yeah, we can ramble. We're really good at rambling on. That's one of our specialties.
for
But
sure, but we do love some Blood Bowl.
yeah,
So you'll find out as our next coming segment. We're gonna talk about Gutter Bowl next.
yes, gutter bowl,
Is that
not
correct?
gutter ball. As much as
I
we want
want
to
to
say
call it
gutter
gutter.
ball,
I want to say Gutter Ball so bad.
I know. I think it's because of bowling, because of
Maybe.
gutter balls. But
All right.
anyways, we'll
Well,
be
let's
back.
take a break. We'll be back. All right. We're back with Gutter Bowl. And it is a variant. We talked about this last episode, actually. It's a variant that comes with a field of Blood Bowl based off Street Bowl. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a combination street bowl and dungeon bowl. And we did talk about it last time, but more in the general idea because GW sent it to us. And if you're new, we do have an agreement with GW. They do send us stuff early a lot of times, and we review it. And we always make clear that that's where it came from, but we still very much get to speak our own piece to it. And we didn't have a whole lot of great things to say about this game. It wasn't horrible, it just didn't seem needed.
Right. So I got to play it. Me and Gary broke it out. Some guys at work said that they bought it and they actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, you have? Well, I need to really give the rules a thorough reading. And I gave him a thorough reading. And then, I told Gary about it and he read it. And he's like, we should try this. So me and him decided to put some teams together. He wanted to use his human models to play with the fluff. He made up a team called the Houdini and spelling it like a WHO, Houdini's Hidery. It's a bunch of people who make magical hides for magicians and stuff like this.
Okay.
So
So, like, they're a store sponsored league?
yes,
What team?
so
Yeah.
we tried to make like if they were in a league, what would they be sponsored like? Because it's
Okay.
supposed to be like people come out of the streets and they're drinking beers and go, hey, I could do that. Well, let's get out there and do it. So I just decided to play with my Beator's Black Hearts, which if you've heard me talk about it a million times, this is my Chaos Pack team, or what is known to today as Chaos Renegades. I used all the old models that were giveaways at the old Chaos Cup tournaments from the old second edition stuff. So I have like a team full of like 50 models. I know you only need 16. I have like close to 50. I have a bunch of like NFL style numbers on there. So there's like 73, 74, 60, stuff like that. And my theme is that the Baitor is this like kind of like half demon chaos guy who ends up with a bar. And when it's time to play games, he just goes in there and grabs some scallywags from the bar, and then they go play a game. Now, if those people, when I played them in our old home league, if they gained a skill, I would actually name them at that point, and they would stay on the roster. So my roster was always fluctuating all the time with new players, and it could be anybody. Like I have a guy that's holding a beer keg, like carrying it into the bar. He has a number on his base, therefore I could use him because he could get recruited at any time. The cheerleaders, they can get recruited at any time. The coach could get recruited to come play the game if I need to. So it was always Beator's Bar and Grill, and of course the GR was like crossed out and a K was put there, so it's Beator's Bar and Kill. And I decided to play with them because it's a bar. They're scallywags. They'll go out there and they'll play some gutter bowl. So building a team is very interesting. Like I read it, we talked about it. It's way more difficult when you actually have to do it to play some games.
Isn't it just
You
a
get
million?
seven.
Oh, 750?
What's that?
It
It's
was,
750.
yeah.
All re-rolls are 100K, no matter what team you take. When you fall down, the street or the sewer is, and of course these guys are like amateur athletes. So when you hit the ground, it's +1 to all armor breaks, no matter how you fall. And so it was a really difficult choice, but I'm and you can only take 5 positionals. So therefore, with a Chaos Renegade teams, there's 8 positionals. You got your Minotaur, you got a Rat Ogre, you got a Troll, you have an Ogre, you have an Orc, you have a Skaven, you have a Goblin, and then you have a Marauder Thrower, right?
We also have an
So
elf.
oh yeah, and I didn't even mention the elf. So, but you only can take 5 of those positions, period. So I took some just generic linemen. I took an orc because I figured his extra armor would be very helpful.
Yeah, of course.
I took an ogre. I took a troll for the same reasons. They had higher armor than the minotaur or the rat ogre.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking, like, maybe if I can keep some guys around. And then I took a skaven and a goblin. The goblin for mobility because he had dodge. Skaven because he's fast. And I felt by looking after rereading the rules and everything, I thought like speed feels like it's going to be very important here. And I managed to actually get 2 rerolls into it. So I took no dark elf, no thrower, no rat ogre, nothing like that. And me and Gary set up. We played on the street field. I won my first game. I think 2-0, maybe 2-0. Yeah, I believe it was 2-0. I could be wrong on that.
Is this by actually scoring? Like, or did you have to play well in order for you to score? Or was
So
it more injury dominant since there's less people on the pitch?
it's definitely injury dominant.
Okay.
Being able to hit first is king, especially if you can do hit and bust some armor. Because right off the gate, I got his numbers down, which really helped. You also can foul, and there's no ref, so you get 1 free ground blitz basically per game
Okay.
or per turn, and you might
Yeah.
as well foul with anybody. You can foul with your blitzer because you're not worried about him getting called out, right? There's
Not
no
until the
ref.
end of the drive, right?
No, there's no called out at all unless we misread the rule.
Oh, no, it's only the secret weapon that they get
Right.
possibly called out. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right.
So it is a brutal game. At first, when we were going into this, because I was talking to, like I said, some guys from work, they said, I might play more games, but I might adjust the +1 to the armor break. Because I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. You only have 7 players. You don't have much bench. Gary had 1 bench player with his human team. I had 1 as well, but he had 1 reroll. I had 2 rerolls, and I thought by having no built-in skills, I probably need those rerolls.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, played that game, won. I was thinking, wow, I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. We flipped the board over. to the sewer side. We played again. That game ended up being a tie. We had quite a bit of fun. We decided to play a third game, so we just rolled off, and it was a street. We played the street side again, and another 1-1 tie. I mean, I fell going into the end zone with a go for it or
Okay.
a rush. I rolled a 1, but I was at a reroll, so it ended up being a tie. And that game, that third game, I got dominated by Gary. Like I had tons of injuries. It was just like I only had like 5 guys on the pitch a lot of the time doing the work of 7.
Jeez.
And it's kind of like balls to the wall. You don't have a lot of re-rolls. You just try stuff. You know, you are min-maxing in the fact of like, well, I better go move this guy first because that's more important than throwing this block. But at times you just gotta try stuff. And
Yeah.
it's a lot more dicier for sure because you just don't have the numbers on the pitch. Speed feels like it rules. Having built-in skills is very important. We played 3 games in 3 hours.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun.
Now, have you played a lot of sevens?
I played 3 games of sevens,
Because that's
and
how
I
seven felt to me. Is it's very dice heavy, it's very dependent on injuries, and speed was important.
so do you know how sevens you don't set up on the line of scrimmage?
Mm-hmm.
You're separated
Yeah.
in not street ball, gutter bowl. You set up just like a regular kickoff for blood bowl.
Yeah.
So you do have those opening couple of hits and stuff like that. Um, I like this way better than sevens.
Okay.
Now, I haven't played sevens in like nearly 3 years. Maybe if I tried sevens again, I would maybe enjoy it more, et cetera, et cetera. But I haven't. I actually enjoyed this. I enjoyed it enough that, like, if you told me, there's a tournament up in Tulsa, it's only an hour and a half away, it's 4 rounds, I might go play it.
Okay.
I, I, I did not expect to like it, is what I'm trying to tell
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it because it did go fast. It just made you try things. You knew if you're throwing a 1 die block, you know that there's a chance you're gonna. It's not like rolling double skulls
Yeah.
because you have to just try some things, and it made you work. And
So
you
how
know you
did
had to
the
just.
shops and pits and the barricades and stuff? How did that affect the gameplay?
Um, it's funny. Every time I blocked Gary into a barricade, we rolled the dice. He went down.
Okay.
Every time he pushed me into a barricade, I would say 90% of the time I stayed standing up. So it didn't affect me as much as him. Um, the one thing that we are not 100% sure on, because Gary accidentally took my rule book home too, so I didn't get to reread this since playing just a couple of days ago. Um, on the street side, we had a lot of the balls bouncing around, hitting the
Okay.
walls, from
Yeah.
the kickoff and stuff. So we were very unsure if we were doing it 100% correctly because we rolled at 1 dice every bit of like for a scatter because it kept bouncing back and forth. No joke. Every bit of 16 times or more
Jeez.
because it just kept bouncing this way. Then it bounced this way. And then you roll a d6. Oh, it's going 6. So it'd go across the way,
Yeah.
bounce off the other wall. I'm not 100% sure we did that correctly. On the sewer side, it just falls into the drink or the water. And then the little creature that's living in the sewer or
Mm-hmm.
whatever decides to like put it on one side of the pitch or the other. So that went a little bit smoother. Um, I will say it didn't feel like Gary ever stopped me, or did I ever just stop him based on strategy?
Okay.
It was like, I'll take a chance with some of this dice stuff and see what happens. Now that doesn't mean that we didn't have fun. We both actually had a blast. I was shocked I liked it as much as I did. So
Right.
why I wanted to talk about this is because for people who didn't get it and didn't give it a chance, I kind of liked it. Now I might play it again and get my face stomped in and really hate it, but
And the bad news
Buy game.
is, good luck finding it.
Well, exactly. It's still sold out, right?
I think
Everywhere.
so.
Um, at first, I didn't like the extra armor break. By the end of game 3, the fluff of it all took over. Of these are just they're people like me. They're people like you. It's my neighbor out there who's drunk too much at the bar and he wants to go grab the Nerf football and let's go outside and play some football.
Yeah.
And we go, what the hell? Who cares if we're in our 40s? Let's play tackle football. That's exactly what this felt like because I was just like, yeah, if I fell down, I might break a hip in real life. So we both really, by the time of it was all said and done, even though we both took a lot of injuries, we both agreed that we actually kind of liked the +1 to the armor break because that's what it felt like. It felt like a bunch of scrubs
Okay.
playing football.
Okay. I was good. I was
So
curious about that. And what about the setting up? Because like you said, you get if you set up like normal, you're getting 3 hits, and that can be really dominant. Do you think that should stay that way? Maybe put it back to 1 on the line or 2.
no, I like the setup perfectly fine. I think it's just it felt more like Blood Bowl, and that's
Yeah.
probably why I enjoyed it more than Sevens,
Yeah.
because there was that opening kickoff where uh, the kickoff charts I thought were pretty cool. We did some different things with that. I th- they had unique kickoff sides for every side. There was a stench in the air. There was one time where basically some gas went into the sewer and there was a loud noise and it was like basically a big fart and nobody knew who did it. So we all backed up from the line from the middle, like a space. So we are like, oh, who farted,
Mm-hmm.
type deal, which was kind of funny. It just felt way fluffier than I expected. And I didn't expect I thought we'd talk about this in the opening and then just move on. And I never thought like we'd have another segment on this, but we actually had a lot of fun on it.
Hmm.
And it was just surprising. Now, I might play it 5 more times and every time not have a team. I think if you played a league of this, one, speed's going to matter a lot. Built-in skills are going to matter a lot. But I think week to week, there's so many injuries. You are going to have a lot of journeymen playing. That, therefore, it still feels fluffy in the fact that like it's just new people at the bar. It's the old guy
Well,
who can't walk, but he wants to go out there and play Nerf football with the crowd. So he's a loner.
so here's the
Um,
thing, though, is taking that fluff. None of these are really on a team. If this isn't a regular team, so what do you think about no journeyman? You just get to add new players.
I don't know. Without playing in the league, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then again, with the league, do you level up? Do you take new skills? Do you what?
so in gutter bowl, if you do level up, there is a chance that you get scouted and taken away.
That's true.
So
That's right.
like
Okay.
if I had a blitzer and I leveled up and I took tackle, let's say on him, I get to play the next game with that human blitzer. After the game though, I roll, and if I roll a 1 because I've gained 1 skill, if I roll a 1, he gets recruited to the big leagues and leaves my team, and they give me
Mm-hmm.
like some pocket change, I think 20K or something like that. Money was really interesting because you just roll a d6. You get a bonus if you score 3 or more touchdowns. You get a bonus if you cause 3 or more casualties. The game I won, I got 20K. Gary got 60K. The game we tied, I again got 20K. Gary got 50K. And then the last game we tied, I think Gary got 30K and I got 40K. So it's not a lot of money, and dedicated fans only matter on that kickoff table.
Hmm.
So they don't matter for anything else. Another thing I will say, like I said at the beginning, I didn't think I would like the armor break thing. Speed is such a giant factor in this game. I think it's good to have that +1 because I think by Skaven Gutter Runner being a little bit weaker when he falls down, it's going to mitigate some injuries and stuff like that. On the occasional time that a Gutter Runner rolls a
Yeah.
1, reroll 1 on dodging away or something like that, um, I I, I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
I'm giving it a thumbs up after 3 games, and I didn't win all the games, so I won one game,
You didn't lose
and
any.
I didn't lose any either. Um, but they went quick. But like I said, besides we never tried to bounce a ball off the walls.
Yeah.
We never did that. The kickoff was weird on the street side because the ball bounced around on the street several times if we did it correctly. Um,
And maybe
but
that's
setting
something that
up's
could
we
be corrected too if it's causing that big of an issue.
sure setting up is weird though because you put like 3 people on the line and then you only have 4 people left and then you have these buildings in your way or these sewer pits in your way. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how do you place your guys? Like the whole time we were playing it, we felt we didn't know anything that we were doing, and we probably didn't. And at the same time, it kind of felt fun because we were like, you know what? I'll try this because we didn't know. We
Yeah.
didn't know. So,
Fair enough.
anyways, I would say if you get a chance, because I know you have a little Blood Bowl league up there and
Yeah.
stuff. If you live with a guy who plays Blood Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
pull it out and give it a shot for real, and see what you think about it. Because I had way more fun than I should have.
Okay. Maybe
I have
to
been
do
thinking about it. I've been like, oh, maybe.
that.
I wonder if there's tournament. Can you run tournaments for this?
Don't see why
Is
not.
this in the NAF?
I think so.
I was just curious. Yeah,
Even if not, they just put it as a specialty or whatever.
yeah, maybe so. Anyways, it helped that I was playing with Beator's Bar and Grill
Oh yeah.
characters. So every game I played with different characters. I just randomized characters to have different patrons from the bar. So yes, even in these 3 little tiny 6-play games, I played with a different team every time. Except, I mean, I don't have multiple ogre or troll miniatures, but the other characters I got to play with, different characters. So it was fun.
I thought you did have multiple trolls.
I do. I just don't have them painted. And the
Okay.
man who painted all those miniatures retired and ran away from society. And God, I wish I could get that man back to paint me. I have like 30 more miniatures for this team, and then it's done.
And that's why he left.
He's like, I'm tired of painting your crap, Scott.
Okay. Any final words about it, or shall we move on?
I'm saying a thumbs up. If you get a chance, you see one out there in the wild, and you think, I don't need another dumb field because I don't like 7s. It feels different than 7s to me, and I had a lot of fun. So
Let us know what you
give it a
think
shot.
if you guys have played it.
I really want you and Craig to play that if you can get a chance.
Well, you probably can after World Cup.
Okay. I understand. I know you uppity people are going to another country to play Blood Bowl, so you got other things to play test and worry about.
Well, we also don't want to confuse rules. Not that it would, but
That is a great great point.
okay.
Never mind, Steve. Don't worry about that. Don't play it yet.
We shall be back, and we'll be talking about leagues. On to the last part, where we shall be talking about leagues. My league, I'll just go quick. I think.
Yeah, what is your league called?
I don't know. What is my league called? Colorado.
The Denver Blood Bowl League?
No, that's the other one. Like
the Greater Colorado Mountain League of Blood Bowl? The World's Edged Mountains
Denver,
League.
Colorado Blood Bowl League. That's what it's called.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the other one is Mile High Blood Bowl League. But
there's 2?
They're further south, so I don't play in that one.
Give me people. Like, who is it? Give me people in the further south league.
I don't know. Like,
is that Michael Haley?
I don't know. I know through Discord. I can give you.
Do I have to move to Colorado so you will be friendly to people and hang out?
I am.
Is this the only way you're going to make friends?
I am kind of friendly. There's DB, M Lawful,
once you get
Yellow Bunting, Strange 19, Big Monkey, Ragnar, Purgatus,
Big Monkey,
Kai Fexler,
Strange 19,
90 pound wuss, Bill from work, something Sandwich 21, Dash Dastardly, I like that one, Caleb SCH, Jamie, Winter Horse, Steve B, Kevin, Son of Mus, Michael Tornow, who's probably Michael Tornow, That looks. I mean, I think that's it for now. But there's people there. I just don't know them.
Okay.
Not like I really know
Who?
people in my league either. I know
Yeah, who's the people in your league?
TJ and
And
others.
Steve, come on, dude. Didn't
Uh,
Craig play with you?
I'm playing. No, Craig doesn't play. I'm
Oh,
playing
okay.
Tim, a Tim you don't know, a Tim I don't know, on Thursday at the local restaurant here.
Oh, you have like a date.
Kinda. So
Ooh.
right after work, head
You
over. And I
no,
haven't
no,
been to this
no, no.
restaurant yet, so it looks good. I'm hoping.
After work, you need to take a shower, do your hair,
No,
okay?
no.
Slap on some of that smelly stuff and be like, and then go in there, and when it's time to pay, you just tell the waitress or the waiter like, I got it. And then wink at the person you're playing to allude to them that like you're down for whatever happens after this Blood Bowl game.
Shouldn't I do that before the Blood Bowl game just to get in their head?
Well, whatever.
Okay. No, that won't be happening, but I look to be getting a good hamburger, hopefully. We shall
That's
see.
not where I thought you were going to start when you said, "Hey."
Okay.
Never mind.
Well, anyways, about leagues. No, my last opponent had to forfeit. He forgot about the game, so I don't have a lot to
Oh,
talk
you
about.
won.
Yeah. So there's that. So how's
Okay.
yours going? Finished up, didn't it?
So yeah, we did the there's a couple season 9, I believe it is.
I thought it was 10.
Man, I'll have to look because yes, I keep forgetting it
Who are the
because
people in your league? Me.
Steve, what what do you mean? Who's the people in my league?
You
Of
couldn't
course I
name
know
them
the people in my league.
as he's
Huh?
as he's pulling it up on the computer because he forgets everyone's
I
names.
no, I know a lot of people. So this was season 9 of our league.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was 10 for a while too, but it's not. So this has been a league that we've ran really not up at Wizards, and I'm going to act like people have heard this for the first time since we're reintroducing ourselves. So back when Blood Bowl 2016 came out, for a long time Blood Bowl was dead and just ran by the community. So when Blood Bowl 2016 came out, we no longer did our home league and we started doing a league through the store, but it really wasn't the store. It was like we're Oklahoma. So if
Yeah,
you
it's
want
the
to drive down
Central
here from
Oklahoma Blood Bowl League, so
right,
you could play anywhere. But if you wanted to play at the store, you could, and we would have a game
correct.
day usually.
And yeah, back in the day, we had like a game night, and then just whoever showed up, we'd roll off, and that's who you played.
Hmm.
The league has been modified somewhat since the inception of the 2020 rules of Blood Bowl, but then like COVID hit us pretty hard and killed the league that season. So yes, this is our ninth league. We had 22 people play in the regular season. 16 of those went into the playoffs. It was a full bracket. The other people just decided they didn't have time to do the playoffs, or they just thought they had no chance. So they just didn't want to mess with it. So you play our whole season. It is a month to month league, meaning that Steve can play I'd ask Steve, like, hey, you got time to play in September? And he's like, no, I'm going to World Cup. So I don't have time.
Put me
And I'd
down
be
for
like,
0 games.
so he'd have 0 games for that month. And then if we had an odd number, either somebody sat out, by like me asking somebody, or I would ask somebody like, hey, you only have 5 games while everybody else has 8. Would you like an extra game this month to try to catch them up? And that works out pretty good for us. And we've done that since the COVID year. We've done the same type of rule set. And then you play the whole season to get to the playoffs. And then basically the regular season is just the rankings you go into a seeded tournament. So I finished the league with I believe it was 8 wins. I should call this up since we're going to talk about this anyways, right?
Surprised you haven't, since
I know I
how
should have.
everything panned out.
Hold on, give me 1 second here on tour play here. So
It
we are
is,
playing through tour play,
yeah.
and I must say that we do enjoy playing through tour play for the most part.
Our
Feels
league
like we can.
does, and so does the other Denver league. And it
You both
appears
do it.
like we can kind of just get into this now. So people have been asking us how to run a league. The best thing we can tell you right now: go through Turplay. It costs money. It's not free, but it's not that expensive. What's it cost? Like $5 a month?
Just depends on the number of people you have.
Right.
We took a $10. What we did is that we took a $10 fee for every time you joined, and then at the end of the season, we had about $40 left over. And so what we did from that point is then I took that money and bought a team from Wizards because I could get it with my discount, and then we had a drawing for a team. So
Yeah.
therefore, we gave a team away to somebody who played all season with us and paid their dues.
So, and again,
Um,
like it is pay, but it's also not the easiest to figure out at the beginning. The documentation isn't great, but go on Facebook. Even if you don't have a Facebook, just create a Facebook account for it. Find the Turplay Facebook group, and people are great on there. They'll reply quick. The people who do the software are quick to reply and update changes. Um, so it's been really awesome.
I'm I'm convinced that Tour Play is very similar to like Excel. Like I know enough in Excel to do my own budget for like my bills
Hmm.
for my household. But beyond that, beyond like subtracting and adding things together, I don't know much in Excel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential there. Tour Play, I feel like, is the same thing. So we ran our league in there. I ended up finishing first through the league. I took Nurgle, and if you listen to past episodes really quick, I took a Nurgle team with the whole idea that they were a bunch of monks who did good deeds, who really followed the Bright Crusaders in the old world. They were in the land of Fox Hollow, and then they got diseased. They got caught this virus, the Nurgle bug, and everybody became you know Nurgle people. So they still wanted to they started playing Blood Bowl. They started playing Blood Bowl as the Fox Hollow Bright Crusaders as like a little minor league team, and then as the disease set in, they all became Nurgle beasts and monsters and stuff like that, pestigores. Everybody started joking around that they were the Pox Hollow instead of Fox Hollow. Instead of Bright Crusaders, they were the Blight Crusaders. And so that's how kind of my rough origin of the Pox Hollow Blight Crusaders. And I was trying to play them as if we don't foul, just like the Bright Crusaders fluff of like, we're good people, we don't foul, we don't break the rules. And through the whole season, I didn't foul, I don't think one time. I came in first for the season. I only played 9 of the 11 games possible. I won 8 of those games. I took one draw. Um, Gary was talking about he was the only guy that really could catch me in the standings. And once he told me, like, he's like, I think I'm going to take off the last month of the season and just keep my team healthy. I was looking at bloat myself with the Nurgle team because they're just so expensive.
Hmm.
And I decided, like, yeah, if you're going to sit out the last month, I'm going to sit out too because I knew I had the number 1 spot locked in. So, we set out and maybe should have played a few more games because I could have used a few more skills in the long
Didn't
run
you
of
win
looking
the
at
whole
things.
thing
I
and
haven't
you're
got there yet, but
complaining?
no,
You already said
I'm
you
not.
won it.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't think on this podcast because we
Okay. I
have
thought you did.
no, sir.
Okay.
We haven't podcasted since. So thank you, Steve, for
No, I
ruining
thought like
everything.
5 minutes ago you
Um,
did. That's fine.
I think you said that. Anyways, we had 16 teams going to the playoffs. My first round of the playoffs, I played a Black Orc team that was, obviously ranked last in the league. That's why being the number 1 seed, I got the 16 seed, and it was still a tough game. I did win either 1-0, maybe 2-0. I cannot remember on that, but he hurt some of my guys, and so in our playoffs, we clear all the injuries until you get to the tournament, and then every week you have to just deal with your injuries. So week 1 in the playoffs, yeah, I won 2-0, but I took a few injuries, had to replace some guys. Week 2, I played in the playoffs. I played Paul Davies and his Underworld team, and my God, Underworld went from like a team that can occasionally win to they're so good with Snotlings.
Yeah.
those snotlings are just cheap enough. That gutter runner makes a big difference. And what Paul Davies did to me, he had enough inducements that he took Creek and he took the other Goblin Ball and Chain guy and a bunch of bribes. And I got super blessed that the first couple of hits that he did with both of them, he rolled both down, and had to take a both down. And they went off the pitch, but they didn't get out of the game. They were just knocked out, and they came back a few times. So I had to deal with them. We went into overtime. I did win that one 2-1 in overtime. So close game. It was tough. And then, so I made the final four, which was my whole goal with this Nurgle team, is I wanted to be in the final four people. And in the final four, we had a Nurgle team. We had an Amazon team piloted by Matt Strickland, who had a pretty good record for the year. I don't know if he lost up until the playoffs, if I remember correctly. I think in the regular season he was. Oh, he took one loss during the regular season though, only one, and out of 11 games. Ben Burns made it with to the final four with the Demons, the Crackadrak Demons, which was a corn team. And then the Durham's Destroyers, Will Schaefer's dwarf team made it to the final four. He took the name, if you recognize that name, Old School Guys. That's from the second edition. He, before the season, said, I wanted to take something from the old, second edition. Can you give me some dwarf names? And I threw some at him, and he liked that. So he had what is it, the Killdozer or whatever, what I'm talking
Death
about, the
Roller.
tractor. Death Roller.
Yeah.
Death Roller. I want to say Killdozer.
I know.
He took the Death Roller on his team. His team was really good. Like he had a bunch of Mighty Blow, like 6 guards. It was an awful team, and nobody wanted to face it. And thank God he was on the other side of the bracket. I faced Matt Strickland in the semifinals, and I will say this: Tentacles was the MVP of the game for sure in this game, because almost every time Matt tried to dodge away with Tentacles, I held him in place.
Jeez.
Including a very tight game when it was only 1-0. Matt was within scoring distance, and I had to go base his. I called them Lady Griffs, the 4-strength ball runners that are called blockers for the Amazons. I set up the best I could just to get people in front of him, to get people on the side of him. And I've noticed that my Beast of Nurgle was 6 squares away from this character, and I thought maybe I could lock him up with tentacles. I made a bunch of blocks. I positioned myself well, and then it was time to activate the Beast of Nurgle. I realized I don't have a friend for my Beast of Nurgle. So I had nothing else to do. It was my last activation of the turn. I rolled. I got a 4. So the Beast of Nurgle decided to act upon, by himself with no problem. I made both my rushes, and I based the 4-strength Lady Griff. And when it came time for him to break away, my tentacles held him in place. And he cussed me out like he should have, because it was very frustrating. MVP goes to the Beast of Nurgle, just like tentacling up everybody possible when it mattered. And it was ended up winning that game, being Matt, and I was super happy because at this point, I told myself once I got in the final four, like, if some reason I win this whole thing, I'm gonna play goblins next year because I hate goblins.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm like some weird masochist that makes pacts with like my imaginary Mephisto demon. I do
like
this
do
everywhere. I do this quite often to myself. Like, oh gosh, if I can only win this tournament, I'll buy everybody dinner, and then I have to go buy everybody dinner.
I got a meal out of it. I was fine with that.
Yeah, I've done this several times in my life. But I really didn't think I had enough to win it all. Over on the other side of the bracket, Ben Burns beat the Durham's Destroyers, thank God, because that was the one team that I did tie earlier this season. And so it was Korn and Nurgle in our finals, which I never would have thought would happen.
No, that's a weird matchup.
And so in the finals, he was pretty beat up going into the finals, and he's like, I hate to do this to you, but I'm taking Hackflim. So I had to face against Hackflim again. And I would say I played a fairly more solid game than I realized containing Hackflim. I ended up getting like 4 chances on him, and every time I used a reroll to try to knock him down. And every time was a push, and then I re-rolled in a push until the last time, which I actually got a both down, and my guy had blocked, so of course I took that and actually injured Hack Flim and got him off the field. And once
Nice.
that happened, the game was pretty much over. So I ended up winning the finals 1-0 with Nurgle. I
Congrats.
went undefeated. Only took the one draw, which is I went back and just looked at some old stats because I knew that we had our first season. Scott Hess went undefeated and won it all too. And I thought he didn't have any draws, but he actually had one draw too. So my record was like 1 or 2 games better than his by win in the win column.
Mm,
So, but either way, over the course of 9 seasons, we've had 2 teams go undefeated and win the league, which is pretty crazy to think about in Blood Bowl. Vampires and Nurgle. So super happy with that. Not so happy I made the deal with the devil to play goblins. I wish I would have just said a stunty team
yeah, good luck with
instead of
that.
I hate goblins so bad,
I
dude.
enjoy them. I think they're fun. I just don't play them.
Oh,
I don't have my team
I've been
right now,
looking.
so
I've been looking at like optimal builds to play them without a bunch of weapons, so I don't get all my guys called off the field when somebody scores. But
that's crazy.
there's just no.
It's half the fun.
Yeah, there's. That's what everybody else says too. But MVP, we did an MVP for our league. It ended up going to Gary's Rat Ogre, who had like a ton of casualties in like a half season or so,
Hmm.
which is, I mean, the guy played legit like 4 or 5 games, and I think he had. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, look at the players here. This thing has tons of stats, which is just crazy. We do a random MVP just in case anybody's out there running a league, and we take like the person who's the has the most touchdowns, the person with the most interceptions, the person with the most MVPs, all the things that we earn star player points for. We take those top 5, and then in tour play they have a stat called best performance, which adds up touchdowns, casualties, completions, interceptions, injuries, MVPs, and fouls.
Huh, that's
And we
cool.
take that person as well, and we put them all together, and then I write their names on like magic land cards, basically what we do, and then we randomize it and flip them over until we get to the last guy. And the last guy is the number one player voted by the press, is our kind of fluff about it. Yeah, this guy has most beast. Yeah, he had 10 casualties in like, I don't know,
Dang.
5 games or something like that. It was ridiculous. He ended up winning the MVP of the league. So, and my guy, one of my pestigores, he had like 16 touchdowns over the course of the league, or
Jeez.
13 at the time. Anyways, a lot of fun. I cannot believe I won the league.
Largest
I'm
league we've
not gonna.
had too, right?
What's that?
It's the largest league we've had too, right? 22 people.
It it is the largest league we had. I mean, I really do wish all the other people could have just played in the playoffs. That would have been even more fun to kind of have some playing games.
Hmm.
But it is what it is, and people can choose what to do with their own free time and stuff. So I hope, I hope that like we continue to have 20 plus people in the league. You said like you were talking about how you had to cancel a game or you
Yeah.
won a game by a forfeit. We only had to cancel one game, and we don't do cancellations where somebody just gets a free win. We just either you make up the game or we have to cancel the game if everybody can agree upon it, and or we reschedule it with somebody else. And both guys just said just cancel it. It's okay. So we only had one game all season with 22 coaches playing up to 11 games that we had to like just cancel outright the game. So
So
I'm
this,
really proud of our league.
yeah,
You know,
you guys
as
do
people.
a different way of doing things though too, right? Because it's not set in stone when they have to play.
No, we you have so once you find out the schedule, like traditionally I would release the schedule like 2 days before the month ends,
Yeah.
and then you would have that whole month to play your 2 games or 3 games or one game, whatever you have the schedule. And we encourage people to try to, meet up at the store on Saturdays or Sunday and get multiple games going at the same time. But people could, I could invite you over to my house and play a game,
Hmm.
if that's the only way we could do it and get it played. But no, I'm really proud of our league mates. It has inspired another store in the area a little bit further up north, up in Oklahoma City, at Games HQ. Matt Strickland, the guy who's piloting the Amazon team, he works for them, kind of like I work for Wizards, part time, and he decided to, during our downtime of our Cobble League, because we run it from the end of January through about this time, right before school starts again, because I don't want to have to worry about Blood Bowl with all the band stuff my kids go through. Um, he's going to start a little like a couple month league there, and I think that's great. I heard they had, I don't know, I heard one, you told me 12, and I heard 16 or 18 from somebody who randomly came in the shop the other day. But either way, they have more than 10 players
Yeah,
still
that's awesome.
playing Blood Bowl, and that's great. And that goes back to what we were talking about. If you want people to start doing things, you got to start it first and see if it catches fire to, like, create the community you want to play in. So
Right. So
uh,
people who are wanting to start a league, really the main thing to do is start it. You can overthink your rules, you can overthink your processes, you can overthink a ton of stuff, but it doesn't matter if you have 4 people, it doesn't matter if you have 40. Get it rolling, get some games played in the store, let people see you're playing it, and then people will be like, oh, what's this? I haven't played that in a long time, or I've been wanting to get into that. And then it grows and it grows and it grows. May take a while, it may never happen, but that's what
well,
typically happens.
100% what you just said is true. Throughout the season, the store owner went from carrying one or two Blood Bowl teams. Now we carry, like, 8 or more.
Mm-hmm.
And he says frequently, he said, they're not bestsellers. They're not going to make me money. But at the same time, we sell a Blood Bowl product, every week. There's something that goes out, and I order something back in to replace it.
Yeah.
And when we get people to go up there and play games, he has heard people say, I didn't know y'all ran Blood Bowl. I didn't know Blood Bowl was still being played. We heard that all the time too. Holy cow, Blood Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome, and I heard like 3 people that said they were going to join the league, and they took the information down, and we talked for 30 minutes and then never seen them.
Of
But that's
course. Yeah.
okay. We planted the seed. Who knows?
We've
They
done that
might.
with people and they came back 2 years later, you know?
Well, exactly, for sure.
So you can't base everything on how you want it. It just has to be based on what it is. So I would recommend, and you probably would agree because we typically have done this, if you want to start a league, do a couple of demo nights. Make sure you post it in the store. If the store has a Discord or whatever, just get the word out. Say you're doing demos. Spend the afternoon doing demos, talk to people, show them, bring up your best looking team, bring up different types of teams, whatever, and then get people interested. Start a Facebook group, start a Discord, anything that needs to be done. Then start your league. We recommend Turplay at this point because it's a lot easier. Everybody can go online, do it themselves. You don't have to deal. I mean, back when we started, Scott was doing this all by hand, and we were physically handwriting out, match reports and taking photos and sending it to him, or scanning them, or handing it to him in person, or leaving it at the store, and stuff like that. And this is
Yep.
just so much easier now because you don't have to worry about any of that. And Turplay has all the does it have all the rules? I mean, it has like kickoff tables and stuff.
I mean, if it does, I don't pay attention to them,
There's
so
other
I don't know.
sites that you can find that have the rules and stuff, but it's just so much easier now than it ever has been because you
So
just do it
what
all on
I
your
do,
phone.
what you said is true. Like with the Discord, or have somewhere where you can communicate.
Hmm.
I tell everybody we're on Facebook, and we're on Facebook because that's where this old man is at right now. And
Yep.
everybody's like, you got to have a Discord because now we're switching to Discord. Everybody wants to go to Discord. I get that. I'm just saying, find you a home base. We have a group in Facebook. This is the Cobble League or whatever. And people, I think there's like 100 and something members in there. Well, only 22 of them are for our league. And for whatever strange reason, I guess people want to, look into our league and see what's going on, which is fine, whatever. Um, but that's where I communicate. Like I tell everybody, like, hey, it's near the end of the month. I see about 6 games left to be played. Please make sure you get your games played. If it's getting really close to the end of the month, I'll even mention those people by name. Hey, Kyle Longo, Gary Brown, tell me this game is scheduled. Yeah, we got it scheduled for the 30th. Okay, that's all I need to know. Boom, go from there and communicate with them like, how many games do you want next month, everybody? Please respond by this time. If you don't respond by Wednesday at midnight, then you just don't get games for the next month. And
And of course,
I've
this
had
is a
to,
very structured league because not very structured. It's a semi-structured because you are setting up the matches and telling who plays who. You don't have to do
correct.
it that way. You can set it up to where it's a challenge league, and then people
Yeah,
play whoever, whenever, however. You know, back in the day, like you said, we'd have a game night. We'd all show up, and it'd be 8 people, and go, okay, roll off and see who plays who, and then you can just match it up in the system, and they play each other and move on.
yeah, it's really easy to do that. I mean, we had to do that with the playoffs as people, won games. I'd go over to the computer at the store and just rematch up the
Hmm.
next round of stuff. So it's not hard at all.
And
It
you chose
is
to do a playoff. Not everybody does. Some people will do just a season and have a that's it, and have a championship game, or just have the season. Again, however you want to do it is fine. No one's going to complain, and if they do, it's really up to do you care or not. It's your league.
right.
You can
Well, as a,
choose to take it, suggestions, or you can politely tell them to screw off.
as a commissioner, it is very much like herding cats.
Hmm.
I don't care how many times you post something on Facebook and you see that everybody that should have read it has looked at it. They're not going to fully read it. Um, they're going to ask questions to stuff you just answered on that post. That happens all the time. You just got to, there's just always going to be some people you baby. There's going to be some people you just never make happy.
Yep.
And there's going to be some people that no matter what you do, right or wrong, they're really happy. They're just happy to be there. So there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. Just do it and be as pleasant as you can, is all I can say. And
Now, if you want
on
to do
on that,
something special for your league, we have dice. We got together and we made dice. So you get to buy dice for the league, and that gives the league a little money, especially since, we're paying dues for the software. We also did championship dice. So when you come in first, second, or third, you get corresponding colored dice: gold, silver, bronze. You can
yep.
do a store trophy. A lot of places have. I know you
I still
looked
want to do a
into
store
it.
trophy. It's just the going through the semantics to get it
Yeah,
done and
exactly.
get it done like I want it done, which I don't know if that's possible, but
It's a whole different
I
thing.
want to. Yeah, yeah. So there's also if you do run things through tour play, I know this has turned into a commercial for tour play. Uh, when your league is over, you need to shut your league down. You need
Hmm.
to go into it and tell it that the league is over. And at that point, it's going to ask you, are you want to redraft these teams? And then you got to decide and set the limits on that. But if you do not shut the league down, let's say you finish in August and you go back in there because you'd love to look at stats and you're in there on December and you notice that your account balance is like negative $30. Well, that's because you didn't shut it down. So you have to shut it down when your league is over. I made sure to do that. That was part of the reason why we played the last two rounds of the final four. We just played both games back to back because I knew we were getting close on time, and I wanted to have enough money left over in the till to be able to give away a team to somebody for participating in the season all
Yeah.
year long. So
And, Scott had missed that one time before, and they were nice enough to re-credit you, I believe, right?
yeah, yeah, I don't want to tell everybody that, but yeah, they did.
I mean,
I
it's
just
customer
didn't know.
service. They're they did the right thing.
Right. I had no clue about shutting the league down, and yes, they refunded me some of my money. So that was really nice of them to do that. And now I'm never going to make that mistake again. So
And we've let all you know about it as well. Um,
and another thing you can do, just since we're talking about tour play, even though this wasn't really meant, is more of playing Blood Bowl leagues. Um, in tour play, if you have like $15 left over, let's say on your account, and you shut the league down, So you have $15 left over. If you start another league, you can transfer that money from that past league to the new league. So you can transfer that balance over. I don't know if people knew that or not.
That's
So,
cool.
you know, because what I did every time somebody gave me $10 for dues, I put $10 into the system.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Hey, um, if you have,
So how long
parti-
is your league? Since we're just talking about your league, we didn't talk much
I
about your league. Do you know how many?
I don't know.
You don't even know how many games.
No, I'm supposed to.
What are you playing? What are you playing?
I'm playing Norse.
And you
Um,
played 2 games.
I don't know.
God damn it,
Why do you
Steve.
keep asking questions? I don't know. I just go where they tell me. That's it.
Dude, do you live? Like, do you remember anything?
Not. I mean, it doesn't matter. I just go play.
I know, but I'm going to ask you about your World Cup trip, and you're going to go,
I'm gonna
I
take
don't know. And
notes.
I'm
No,
like,
no, that's a whole different thing. That's a important
I'll be
thing.
like, how was Alicante? Was it pretty? And you'll be like, I don't know. It was a
Dude, you could ask me about
town.
Rome right now. I could give you a day by day breakdown of every single thing I did. I mean, it's a
Okay.
whole different thing. Um, I know that I think we have one more
I,
week or so because they asked about playoffs, and I was like, I'm not going to be in playoffs because I got to do World Cup next month, so I didn't want to mess with that. We're on round 5. I think we're doing 6.
okay.
I get to play the new outdoor Patriot Patriots.
They're undead.
Oh, that's who I did play this last round, but I didn't get to play him. So next up is Kings of Talokan. I'm sure I messed that up.
Well, doesn't seem very both down approved to me.
I mean, they're Amazon.
Well,
Should be
okay.
kings. They should be queens. But that's okay.
That's all right.
I'm currently positioned
Yeah.
4th, and he's currently positioned 1st. So there's that.
Ooh, you should upset him and then join the playoffs, my friend.
Maybe. It depends on when they are. I don't
So
want to
another
hold him
note I
up.
do as commissioner, if I don't think your team name is fluffy enough, I make you go back and come up with a better team name.
As you should.
And I'm a pretty big stickler on that most of the time. So that's not going to change because the way I feel like is like I really appreciate everybody in my league and I love them and I'm glad we only had one cancellation all season. But it's my role playing sandbox. I want good stories when I talk about playoff games and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
anyways,
Let's see. I
for
got
sure.
one win, one loss, and another win, and uh, nothing. I don't know.
You're really into it, is what I hear.
Dude, you know me. I play the games.
Okay,
I don't,
I can almost tell you some detail of almost every game I played.
yeah, I'm not that. I'm not that. I can never do that. I couldn't even tell you the
I
opponents I play.
I won 2 games against 2 Black Orc teams in my league solely because I kicked off and I caught my own kickoff both times. I had onside kicks basically.
Jeez.
Uh, so I can remember stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it says I have 2 wins and a loss.
Okay.
Don't know if that includes the last win. I don't know if that got put in or not. Doesn't look
All
like it.
right. Well,
Well,
that's
what
fair.
this is proving is Steve doesn't really know how to play or know stuff. So, whatever.
Steve's just going through the motion. He just wants to get to
I
Alicante.
have had a lot of stuff go on this
I know. I
past
know you have.
couple of years. I'm finally getting to
I
calm down. So,
I agree. I totally agree with you.
but
So, all right,
okay.
let's wrap this up. Let's come
Yeah.
back with some shout outs.
Again, if you have questions, ask us. We're happy to tell you. We just email. However, we'll be back with shoutouts. Welcome back. If you're new to the show, this is the part of the show that for some reason I've allowed to go on for 150 episodes.
Shout outs!
That's
Oh,
that was a bad
that's
one.
pretty weak.
Yeah,
That was pretty
I'm
weak.
fine with it though.
Yeah, I should have really just cut loose because I don't have anybody in my house right now. I could have just been as loud as I want to be.
Oh wow, no kids.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like
quiet
every
in the
other
house,
week. Um,
and I love it. No, now that the oldest one is driving, I get kids randomly at
oh yeah.
anytime ever. To the point so bad that I had to tell them last weekend, on Saturday, from this time to the next morning, don't stop by. But what if I need this? Don't
Don't.
stop by. But what if I need no?
You don't want to stop by. Just put it that way.
It's going to look like Caligula, a scene from Caligula in here, and you're just going to have to accept it.
I don't think Caligula had that much peanut butter in it.
Oh, I thought it was a movie about peanut butter.
No, no, no. Penises. Yeah,
Oh,
whole different thing.
I, I get those mixed up.
Um, so shout outs, I don't know. Episode 150, shout out to everyone who's listened, all of our friends we've made from the podcast, friends we will make from the podcast, and all that sappy stuff. I got nothing really.
Okay, that's fair. I do have something here. So you can actually see me because we're looking at
Yeah,
each other, even though we're not really looking at each other.
as
So,
Scott steps
um,
away from the microphone.
yeah, can you see this, Steve?
Yes, I can.
This is
Yes.
yeah. So this is a little dice cup. So remember when Joe Smith from Woodmill Games gave us some dice
Yeah.
cups, some little wood ones here.
Hmm.
They're made out of the woods, like the wood stuff,
Yeah, it's really cool.
and you took the one that wasn't built with you
Hmm.
to Denver because it would pack better, is what you said.
Yeah.
Well, he really wanted me to have that one so I could build it because he thought, well, Scott most likely will build it, Steve might
Oh,
not, because he wanted to know how well these get, how easy they are to construct for people.
okay.
And I just kind of wanted to give him a shout out because he went ahead and sent me another one through the mail, and as you can see it here. And so I use dice cups, which sound like this.
That is the
Can you hear
leather
that?
one from Chaos Cup back
This
in
is the one from Chaos Cup, and you hear me shaking it.
2017, 2018? Does it say?
2013.
Yikes.
It's that old. It's 10 years old.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Dang.
So I use this dice cup quite often. I used to use dice towers.
Yeah.
I've went to the dice cup, and I've really actually enjoyed the dice cup over the dice tower, even though I like dice towers too. So these little dice cups that Joe have are a little bit smaller than like the one that from Chaos Cup 2013,
Hmm.
or what I'd call like pretty much a standard dice cup. They are made out of wood, but he has some insulation inside of it to keep down on noise. So
Oh,
like,
yeah?
here's a regular dice cup. You can hear that, right?
Yep.
And then here's the wooden one.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, so it does cut down on noise because I've heard a lot of people
That's a
say we don't
lot.
allow dice cups
Yeah.
in our league because it's too noisy. We don't have dice cups at tournaments because it's too noisy. It drives me insane. This is the noise you get with this dice cup from Joe because it comes with the little padded stuff to insulate it or whatever, cut down on the noise or
Yeah.
whatever. It was not real difficult to build at all. I built this in probably under 15 minutes,
Okay.
maybe even under 10. You just kind of had to line up the little pieces of wood to form the cup and to get the little lid piece on. I did use some wood glue. I think it was what's the
Elmer's.
super glue? No, not
Gorilla.
the Elmer's wood glue. The other one.
Gorilla?
Huh?
Gorilla?
Gorilla glue. That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
Gorilla. The Gorilla wood glue is what I used for this. Didn't take me long at all. I mean, 15 minutes at most, really.
Okay.
It probably took less than that. That was for me just to take the little pieces, cut them out. I didn't have much cutting to do. I took my X-Acto knife. They were barely attached. So I have a little dice cup. And for my birthday, Drew gave me one of those. Is it MK? What is the case I have? Do you
Thick
remember?
skull.
Charlie Vector case?
The Charlie Vector Thick Skull.
Okay.
XL.
I have one of those cases. It has a spot for a dice cup. It will not fit my Chaos Cup 2013 dice cup because it's made for like a oval shaped,
Yeah.
kind of more of a backgammon type dice cup. The one from Windmill Games, the little wooden one, actually fits into that slot fairly enough,
Nice.
you know. So I can now carry this in my Charlie Vector case with
Huh.
my team and my rule books and everything else. So I now always have a dice cup in my little case that I can carry with me.
Well, it sounds
Um,
like you have two dice cups with both down logo on it.
I do. Um, so I decided also during one game to completely play with it because at first, I'm going to be honest, it's like just a little bit smaller than the regular dice cup, as you
Yeah.
can see. So I thought, I bet you can't shake the dice as well. You don't get variation as much. Once I started playing with it, the mental block of like it's not the same cup went away and it was fine. So, anyways, I highly recommend it if you're a dice cup guy. If you have a Charlie Vector case, whatever you said, a thick skull case or
Yeah.
whatever, and you don't want an oval little dice cup to put in there, you can buy one of these from Windmill Games. I have no idea what the cost is on these, but a nice little product. It is so much quieter, so
I
much
mean,
quieter than a regular dice cup.
I
So
don't. Did mine
if
come with a? I'd have to pull mine out. Does mine have the foam?
you should have the foam in the, it's the same exact kit. So
Okay. Well, should we give away one?
it's, I mean, it's up to you. You have one to give away if
I
you'd
mean, you
like.
have two. I mean,
I
I'm the
mean,
one who's gonna ship it, so yeah, I'll just ship mine. But yeah,
I was going to use my extra one actually if me and Gary ever get off our butts and run another tournament this year here in Oklahoma. That's where the
okay.
spare one is going to go to.
Well, I can always get another one from him. It's no problem.
Yeah. So,
Um,
anyways, I just thought I would give a shout out and a product review because I've actually used it and everything else. Because we get a lot of stuff in there that frankly, sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't. So,
well, we haven't had a contest in a while, so let's give away a dice cup and some stuff. For what criteria,
well,
though?
let's
I mean,
this was an introduction episode, right? Kind
yeah.
of a reintroduction. They could email us with what they maybe like or don't like about the podcast and just give us a short introduction of like how you got into Blood Bowl. Maybe you were reading White Dwarf and there was an article about chainsaws and you were like, dude, I got to get into this. Maybe it was some silly Pete Nifton art that you saw
Okay.
30 years ago. Maybe it was the video game. Whatever it is.
Any of the video games. There's
Right. It
four
could have
of
been
them.
like,
Well,
you know,
five,
hot
six,
cosplay,
seven.
like elf cheerleaders.
God, how many video games were there? There was the original video game in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
There
Yep.
was Blood Bowl 1, 2,
Not
and
in the
3.
80s, 90s.
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 Yeah, yeah. 93 or
Yep.
whatever. There's Blood Bowl 1, 2, and 3. There
Correct.
was Crunch on the mobile game.
Yes. There
There
was also
was
the one
the
for the
old.
Game Boy.
Well,
Or
that
not
was.
the Game Boy, the DS.
Yeah, but that was still Blood Bowl.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't a different game. It was just a different format. Um, there was the old Dungeon Bowl that lasted for like a month or two.
I like that so much.
It was fun. Did the Star Player one ever come out? I don't think that did. I think I just did a beta on that.
No, I have no idea what
So
you're talking
sick. This I did a beta on a game, completely forgettable. Never went anywhere. It was horrible. So there's 6 video games, I think.
about. I believe so. Something like that.
Huh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, shoot us an email. We'll give you till the end of September because I have no idea what's going to happen between now and the end of September. So
Right.
next episode will
Uh,
probably be us talking about the World Cup or me talking about it.
how far away are you from that? Because I have no clue since I'm not going. Are
I'm
you 2
leaving
weeks
September
away?
3rd.
Wow,
It's
dude.
the weekend after that, and then come back, flying back on the 12th.
And if Steve doesn't make it back, the winner of this Dice Cup will be my first podcast partner for the one episode.
I mean, at that point, you just got to get with Craig and get all my crap, and then you'll have to ship it out yourself.
Right. So here's a tangent, folks. So here we go. I've built my corn team,
Yeah.
and I tell you what, I so mad at GW for making these models that are like mid stride running, leaning over. I hate it so much. I've done
Why don't you
everything
just
possible I can.
base your base? Why don't you fill up your bases?
Fill them up.
Yeah, put like filler in it so they don't fall over. Then you'll stop complaining.
I mean, I put like skulls and stuff in there, so it looks like they're stepping on skulls and stuff
No,
like that.
the empty bottom base. Just get some putty or whatever and fill it up so it has a
No, no, no,
solid
no.
base.
The model doesn't fall over. I'm talking about these
Oh, snapping.
corn,
Okay.
like the corn warriors. What are the blood seekers? How they're like, they look like they're falling over because they're mid
Yeah.
stride. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I had to like cut the ankle on
Oh,
them,
okay.
shave it off, to straighten it up so it looks like they're just running wonder. Anyways, I built my whole quarantine with extra people that are like, I have extra linemen in case I ever want to run corn with Morg. And then I have some journeyman characters that will definitely be for journeymen. And then I just, I'm 2 figures away from finishing the nobility team. And boy, some of them are kind of a pain in the butt to put together too. So.
Didn't we just talk in the beginning about how we don't put together teams and we don't paint?
See, I was going to correct you on that, but then I was like, I'll just save it for later because I've done nothing for like 5 days, almost 5 days straight. I've done nothing model. I even modeled a vehicle for Speed Freaks. Yes, I haven't played it since Chaos Cup last year, but I built a rig for that, and I've just been building stuff lately. So I've been like just every night instead of like letting my brain think of luciferous activities, I've been just going to turn on the radio and build some models. So
fair enough.
That's what I've been doing. And is your nobility team? I should be talking to you about this off the air.
Okay.
Is your nobility team in storage?
No, it's
Is your Blood Bowl set?
Is that Dustin's? He has it. He has 2 boxes.
Man.
Oh wait,
okay,
the
then
other
I can make this
the one that I have painted or the new ones?
The new ones.
Yeah, I have 2 boxes of the new ones. They're with Dustin Parsons, currently waiting to be painted.
Oh man!
Now, if you need
I didn't
something,
know. I thought you already had. Oh, I need something. I just need. Well, it doesn't matter.
You can talk to him. I don't care. I'll have extra. So.
Okay, I might do that. I need one more like kind of lineman figure, and I have a thrower built.
Yeah.
But after I built both throwers, which I did first, I found a way to like make a slight variation that I want to do.
Okay.
So, like, I can replace your thrower for that one thrower that I want, and so forth. But I might talk to Dustin. So
yeah, I'm fine with that.
We'll go from there. All right. Well, trying to find somebody. I just need like one sprue, like just a couple of figures on there, so I can do what I want to do. I've been trying to make figures just slightly different so they're not all the same. I don't need.
If anyone out there has extra linemen I assume linemen, or what are they?
Well, I need
yeomen.
So what I need specifically off the sprue, I need the parts for the thrower. I need the little eagle that goes onto the knight or the blitzer figure that I want to put onto the thrower itself.
Okay.
And then, I'd like one more lineman.
If anyone happens to have these available, contact us, and Scott will be happy to give you $5.
Oh yeah, actually, if somebody had just a half sprue, I'd pay $20 for it. So
there you go, people.
I mean, somebody might have one laying around and they don't want. So
possible.
It's always possible. Anyways, yes, I've been building actually a lot of stupid models lately. So,
okay.
Your whole line of we never build models is... I don't mind building the models. I don't want to paint them.
I don't mind painting. It's just I have to have... Like back when I had the house and I had a dedicated room that I could set up a painting station and I had TV in front of me so I could just watch the baseball games and paint. I was great. I enjoyed it. But I don't have any paints, I don't have any brushes, I don't have anything. And I don't have space, I have time, but I don't have space anymore.
I totally get it. So, anyways, that wraps us up. I think we've gone on enough tangents, and
I'm sure.
Quite frankly, I'm really tired.
Okay.
Well, I gotta get up. I gotta get up tomorrow. I can't believe you're going to World Cup though in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's getting well. It's like 3 weeks, but still, like I know,
I
dude.
mean, that's still crazy to me.
It's
It's finally here.
and then it'll be gone, and it'll be like that happened, and just it's life is weird, man.
Take lots of pictures,
The
make
fact,
lots of memories, make lots of notes,
oh yeah, I've got
get some good phone numbers.
I've got my sheet. I created a tracking sheet, like, and I've got it figured out great now. It's two sided. It works great. It keeps track of everything I need turn by turn. When I get casualties, when they happen against me, I can write out, what happens each turn. The issue I have currently is I need a good way to hold it onto something to write on because it's two sided. So like I really need like a hard surface with three rings where I but there's small rings to where I
Just get a
can.
clipboard and flip it.
But that's the problem. Is by doing that, then I have to, while they're playing, flip it over, and the casualties are on one side and then the reports on the other. So there's a lot of flipping and then clipping and unclipping, and it's most likely what I'm going to do. But I just wish there was a better way to do it. And if I had
I got you.
any clue how to put this into a tablet and then just write on it, I would be ecstatic. But I
Hmm.
have no idea how to do that.
Oh well, you'll have fun either way.
Yeah, I'll take
And
lots of
since
notes.
this is still shout outs, I remember the other person I was going to shout out.
Okay.
I was going to shout out Brian Mitchell from Slurpcast, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
He played 300 games with dwarves
that's
in NAF
insane.
tournaments.
Yeah.
So not only congratulations to that accomplishment for, I don't know how you can play one team all the time, but in reality, what you've done fluff wise is exactly what I wanted to do, but you were already doing it before me,
Hmm.
which was playing dwarves all the time and creating this fluff and stories and everything. So you beat me to that punch, Brian, but congratulations on that. But not only that, at Gen Con, he won, I think it was called like the Hoosier Hullabaloo. It was a
Yeah.
tournament, I think on Thursday. So the 40 miners, the 40 miners, has won another tournament and put up another banner in what he calls the big house, and the legendary dwarf team continues on. So I just thought I'd give a shout out to that as well because I thought
The
that was
king of the fluff.
kind of cool for a fluff standpoint. So
Absolutely.
all right, man. Well, I guess we'll talk to you next month, Steve.
Okay. I'll talk to you.
See ya.
Bye.
You can follow Both Down on Twitter at Both Down. You can follow Scott at
Real Scott Prime.
and Steve at Kilowog2814. If you'd like to email them, the email address is bothdownpodcasts@gmail.com. Or for more information, you can visit them at bothdown.com or at facebook.com/bothdown.
I'm not watching. Did you just point at me?
Just nodded. But whenever you want to start.
Okay, I put the camera on so now I can watch.
And you've lost it.
Welcome to it's welcome to episode 150 of Both Down.
The number one Blood Bowl podcast.
Okay, ready?